record. All right. So if you guys want to mute you guys could keep your cameras on, but just mute your microphones. That way, whenever you guys talk, you guys don't pop out on the screen. All right. I'll give some time for questions and I'll pause the recording, but that way you guys are not popping up on the screen all the time. All right, you guys. So we're pretty good with our cat, okay? We're actually fairly close to being finished with this thing, which is really good. And we're probably gonna finish like in 20 minutes. So this last part is small brush part. It's everything finesse, everything is tiny, everything is careful. And that's all we're gonna do, okay? You don't need a lot of colors, but you guys will need all the colors, but you guys don't need a lot of colors, okay? I just pushed a lot of colors because it's the same palette I used for my younger class earlier today. But again, you guys would want to use all the colors, just not a lot of amounts, all right? Little amounts is okay. All right, so I like the cat. He looks like he's pretty good, like he's going in all kinds of good directions. But the one thing that I still have missing on him is the brightest highlight, okay? So that's pretty much the whitest white. So I'm just gonna grab my white over here. I'm gonna mix the smallest amount of yellow to my cat, all right? And don't overuse this color, okay? This color is not to be used like on this whole area. It's meant to be used in a few spots in this area and then moving your color around, okay? So I'm gonna add a little yellow, the tiniest amount of blue, but this thing is just mostly white, okay? When you guys look at the color, it should just look like a cool color, all right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go in here, just throw 1 or 2 brush strokes, just right in there. All right. And once I throw the brush strokes, just work your color away. Okay, 1 brush stroke down. This is not hard. This is just really important that we don't overdo, but it is definitely not hard. All right. So I'm just looking for those few lights there. All right.
I will ask around, yes.
How's it going, you guys? All right, welcome in. So again, I'm not overusing it, but I am using it just in this light area. So basically, I want my whitest whites to be extremely white, really clean color, a lot of paint. And remember, don't fill in the entire section. Fill in smaller sections, and then jump, and then fill in other sections. But just don't overuse the highlight, okay? The highlight looks whiter or more white when you guys have more colors next to that white. If you guys make everything super white and super flat, then that's what it becomes. It becomes super white and super flat. But if you guys just use it enough, that is the successful use of the highlight. All right. I'm gonna put a little bit down over here. All right. I'm not using too much of that color. Just use it scarcely, okay? If you guys use it enough but properly, you guys should be okay. You guys should be done with this. All right, that looks pretty good. I actually think I used it everywhere that I had to, which is just a little bit here. I might even go white or a little bit more white and heavier right here. But I really have to emphasize how I don't want you to overuse that highlight, okay? Don't overuse that highlight. Just use it very little. The less and less that you use it, the more and more realistic that it looks. The more that you use it, the flatter that it looks. So we want to make sure we don't get anything too flat. All right. So that looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to find the things that I have not completed, okay? So first of all, the snout and the mouth are pretty abstract. I don't think I've painted them at all because when I see my picture, they still look pretty much gray in the underpainting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a black using my blue and my brown, or a gray at least. Then I'm going to add that gray into my red, add some white, and once I add that white, I'm going to paint my nose a little bit, okay? So I'm just going to come in here and just add some color to my nose. It's colorless. It just has the pencil, actually. When I look at this, it just has the pencil. So I'm adding a little grayish purple. Okay, as I start going lighter, I'm gonna go more pink. So here I'm just pinpointing what I'm missing. I'm gonna just make it.
Jose?
Yeah, yep.
We don't have yellow, so can we use yellow ochre?
Yeah, that's actually, I would prefer yellow ochre myself. I just don't use yellow ochre because not many people have yellow ochre. But to me, yellow ochre is a more earthy yellow. So if I were to use my own yellow, and the one that I would use more and more at the studio would be yellow ochre. So yes, that is a definite yes.
Thank you.
Jose,
Yes.
the pinkish thing I made, it's a very dark purple. When I added white, it did nothing.
Okay, so you know how I always say, you're gonna use all of your white if you're gonna start adding white to that big color. So whenever you guys make a color that's too dark, let me show you what to do. Okay, so whenever you guys make a color that's way too dark, let's say this one, you don't want to use white into this. That's gonna take forever. What you want to do is pull a little bit of this color to the side, just a little bit there, and then add a lot of white to that little bit. See how easy it changes that? Super simple. But if I try to change this, I'm gonna have to use all of my white. And I don't need so much color. So if I just made very little like this, and I push it over here to my side, and then I just add white to it, look how easy I make it lighter. But now, let me show you. If I try to make this lighter, oh man, this thing is not going light. It's way too dark. So I need more and more white. I never want to do that if I make my color too dark from the beginning, okay? Always split a little bit and then add white into it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, try not to use like all the white into that color. Alrighty, guys. So I'm pretty much close to being done on this thing. I did miss a few spots last time, so I am missing some lighter grays on the fur over here. I'm going to go ahead and do those today, and I'm also missing a little bit of detail. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So again, I'm going to go back to my ugly brush just because I know I missed grays. So I'm going back into this guy over here. So I'm going to mix brown and blue just as I did last week. This time I'm going to add a bit more white to it. So I'm pretty much making a little lighter color. Okay. So I'm making a variety of my grays here. All right, that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to add very little paint over here, and I'm going to bring some of my fur into here, okay? Just don't forget that this fur is actually a little bluish green, okay? So it's gonna balance my warmth over here. There we go. So all that brown that I have, I'm gonna cancel a little bit of that away. I still need it, I just don't need it to be overwhelmingly brown. All right. So it's a little green, but it's very thin. Remember, it's just hair. It's like tiny bits of hairs, tiny bits of hairs. What happens, don't forget that green is very opposite to a warm color. So that green actually makes your warm color look warmer and it makes your light color look flat, okay? And that's really important. Remember what I always say, always try to paint with ugly colors, not with nice colors all the time. So this is my use of ugly colors. All right. I'm going to use more white over here.
No.
A little bit of tan. Let's try to push some color over here. All righty, guys. And cover some of the blacks to make them look like they're overlapped. All right. And finally, just go with a very light gray here. That's going to be the last step. Don't forget, we're looking for midtones, and there's very few mistakes that you guys can make by mixing just brown and blue. That's all I'm really mixing. Yellow's a tiny thing. It's mostly brown and blue. So if you guys tell me, oh, my color is too blue, what do we need? Brown. Oh, my color is too brown, what do we need? Blue. Okay? Or my color is too dark, what do we need? More white. Or it's not dark enough, then we omit the white.
It's a big
Okay?
bottle. It's not that.
Right. So I'm just gonna do my last fur here. So I'm going a little lighter this time around. Just to show my lightest fur. And I know a little trick of acrylic right here, that if I work wet acrylic that's very thin over dark acrylic, even if my color looks a little off, when it dries, it'll blend a little bit, okay? If it looks too off, then we just have to fix it. But if it looks a little off, that's perfectly yay okay. All right. I think in the big, the big picture, I think I'm happy with my cat. I added a lot of grays, so he desaturated my forehead. Really cool. That's what I was looking for. And that's it, you guys. That's it in terms of the detail of the cat. Now, we're just going to try to add a little bit of the last bits of little tiny detail. You guys could just look at what I do. It's so small. And then after that, you guys could, we could work on this just for like 5 minutes after I'm done talking. But this part is going to be pretty fast, okay? So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to grab my round brush, again, my little tiny round brush. I don't want to overuse anything that I do in this part, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm mixing that tan color again. I'm going to do this little outline here. So starting with a tan color first, and then going over with yellow and white. Now, I have a line that breaks my back side of my ear versus my front side of the ear. If you guys had a palette knife, I would actually be using my palette knife. The only problem with palette knives is if I'm not there, it sometimes gets a little messy and it's very hard for me to help you with I'm not there. But if I were there, I would actually do it with a palette knife. It's really, palette knives are really good at doing lines, okay? So here I'm just doing a hair. I'm not doing all 20 or 30 hairs. I'm just doing one hair. That's what this brush is all about. Not 20 or 30 things, just a thing. Just a little implied line, okay? All right, a little implied line right there. A little implied line over here. Have fun, you guys, okay? This brush is just tiny, tiny lines. That's all it is. All right, now I'm gonna do a little work between my push and my pull. What in the world is that, okay? So hairs are overlapped. They're like this, okay? One of them is on top of the other. Usually for that to work, there needs to be a light in the dark. See, my bottom hand has a dark. My top finger, hand / hand, has a highlight. I have the highlights. I'm not worried about those. But right next to those highlights, I mean literally right next to them, actually touching those highlights, we are going to throw some gentle shadows just to give the illusion of overlap. So right here, and I got to be careful because I don't want to use black, but I don't want to use a color too similar to the other colors. Okay, so I'm going to do a little gray right here. There we go. Nice. Nice. And then once I have that color, I'm going to gently work it out. And you guys could work it out with a little white, okay? You don't have to just work it out with dry paint. You guys could use a little white. Use this kind of green color. Every time you guys see me do something, I always like to balance my paintings between warms and colds. So if my highlights are kind of blue, then my shadows are going to be greenish brown, okay? If my shadows are brown, then my highlights are going to be green. Always try to work with complementary colors. Works beautifully. Remember, if you guys want to give your cat a go after you're done with this cat, by all means, show me your picture once you guys give your cat a go. All right. Right next to these shadows, I'm going to throw, or right next to those lights, I'm going to throw some shadow. Not many. I don't need to make so much hair. I just have to do 2 or 3 hairs and then let my eye believe the rest. Remember, don't let the viewers get lazy, okay? If you guys give the viewers every single detail, they're going to get lazy and they're not going to need to observe your artwork. All right, just a few strokes here and there. That's it. All right. After that, to be honest with you, I'm happy with my cat. I think he's good. You know, I could do little highlights here, little highlights there, you know, change things up very little. But like I promised you last class, there wasn't much to do to this guy. If you guys wanted to do a lot, it's not for this painting, okay? This guy's good. This guy doesn't need a lot of work. I could find some midtones if I wanted to here, just to make sure that not everything has the same value. So I could find some midtones, but overall, I don't think I need to do a lot. I mean, I'm happy, and I don't see the need of a ton of work. Also very expressive, very gestural. All right. And aside from 1 or 2 whiskers that you guys could also do, the whiskers you guys could do with a little brush, I'm happy. I think he is who he needs to be. He has the work that he needs to have, and you don't have to do anything else to him. All right? You guys think you could do this today and tomorrow maybe a little bit? If you guys need a lot of work, take your time. There's no need to rush. I'm always a big promoter of not rushing. But if you guys are done to this stage or up to this stage, I think we're good. Okay? Anybody have any questions right now? Before I put this on the side? If you guys don't have any questions, the picture is going on the side, okay? So any questions now? We're forever quiet. No, just kidding. You guys could always send me an email. So if you guys still have some questions, you guys are at home, you guys could always send me an email. But anything live, I could answer now. All right? All right, you guys, no questions? I think we're good then. Great job. I've seen only the beginning of your cats, and I know some of you guys had problems with the drawing of your cat. That's okay. Just redo. Practice comes with continuity. If you guys want to do 20 cats instead of one cat, do that as well, okay? Just try to have fun with your cats. And if you guys want to show them to me right now, you guys could definitely do that. If you guys want to show them to me later, you guys could definitely do that as well, okay? If we're good with this, I think we're pretty good, all right? So no more questions. This guy is going on the side. Just don't forget, today was a lot of tiny details, right? So meow, it's right there, all right? Put this on my side. My younger class, they did a dog today, so I have a cat and a dog, a Yorkie Terrier and a cat. Row, 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 meow, meow. All right, you guys, so let's discuss our next projects. I'm gonna put my acrylics on the side. I don't think we're gonna need them. We might need them, but I highly doubt it, okay? So let's discuss our next project. So I'm also gonna change the orientation of my tablet because we're gonna be drawing vertically. So make sure you guys just get your setup going. Grab your pencils, your erasers. All right. And here we go. Here's my acrylic stuff. All right, there we go. All right, you guys. So the next picture, right now it's going to be from my point of view. I'm going to do. We're going to be working in illustration, so we have to discuss the foundation for the next picture. So if you guys ever become illustrators, or if you guys like illustration, and you guys like animation, the animators, traditional animators, their medium of use was actually acrylic paint, okay? Because acrylic paint has this kind of flatness to it, but it also has some body to it. So most illustrators or animators at the beginning, when they're still kind of illustrating things, they're using acrylic as their paint, okay? If you guys ever take an illustration class like Illustration 101, it's still gonna be mostly acrylic base only for the first class, and then you guys are going to go kind of straight into digital, and digital will be king if you guys decide to go into the illustration realm. Okay, so yeah, go ahead, Audrey.
Wait, I missed the first like 26 minutes.
Okay, so we finished up the cat. So if you missed that first 26 minutes, we pretty much, let me show you. We pretty much just wrapped up the cat. So we didn't do much to it. We just made lighter highlights. I'll put this real quickly. We made lighter highlights, just small areas, not big things. We also did grays over our browns, and then we did some mid-tone grays over our darker grays, and just a few lines here and there, just kind of wrapped up everything that was missing. The video will be up in a few hours, so you could just take a look. It just took us like 20 minutes of work, so it wasn't a lot of work. But if you missed those first 20 minutes, just finish up the cat, and you could take a look at the video. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. All right, so going back, so acrylic paint was the first issue, or the first type of use in an illustration, and illustration is kind of a beginning phase of animation, even though they later split into two. It's like a Y. They kind of have a similar foundation, but then they split, okay? So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna try to illustrate an illustration already, okay? So what we're gonna be using right now, you guys could do this for any type of illustration. You guys could make your own type of work, but if you guys decide later on to do more illustration, acrylic would actually be your to-go medium, okay? So a lot of these paintings, they have a very acrylic feel to them, okay? A lot of this animation paintings, these are done with either Photoshop, or they're done with what is it, Adobe Drawing, or Procreate. Those are like the three big ones that artists like to use, okay? So again, but they have a very acrylic feel to them. The reason why is acrylic and digital, they are very close together. So in order for you guys to understand the way to paint something digitally, you also have to understand the way to approach something digital. So we're gonna work this exactly the same way you guys would do it on your iPad Pro or your stylus, if you guys have that. And if you guys want to download, just use the brush tools, approach it exactly the same way as we're approaching it today. And believe me, you will get very, very close. Maybe the drawing might be a little off here and there, but the painting is gonna be super, super intuitive if we work it that same way, all right? So today we're just mostly gonna draw. I'm gonna focus on the portrait mostly. If you guys get to do the guitar, the body, all this stuff, that's great, that's phenomenal. But my main goal is mostly the portrait. Also, if I work very small, you guys will have a hard time seeing my painting. So I wanna just blow them up a little bit. I'm gonna do the head, I'm gonna do part of the guitar, and I'm gonna do just pretty much his torso or his upper body, okay? So that's where we're gonna go today. Like I said, we might start painting, that's a big might, okay? But yeah, let's start drawing, all right? So let's close this thing up. And don't forget that the video for this will probably be connected to the video of the cat. So if you guys cannot find your drawing video, just look at the end of your cat video. I might just post them in under the same page, all right? All right, so I haven't shown you the image because I want you guys to follow my approach. I want you guys to kind of treat this whole drawing very, very much, like I said, like an illustrator would. So we're gonna start by our drawing, okay? And I'll post a picture later. It's a common picture. It's just an illustration from Coco, and it's a pretty common picture. So what I'm gonna do with this, I'm actually gonna make just a circle, just to keep it simple, okay? But let's talk about where our circle is gonna be, all right? So my circle is on the bottom left, not on the bottom, but towards the bottom a little bit and towards the left. I'm gonna make it a little darker. That way you guys can see it. I don't want you guys to be drawing this dark, but I'll make it just a little darker for you guys to see. So my circle is here. The reason why it's there, I still want to put a little bit of my guitar here, and I don't want to put too much torso. I don't want to put too much upper body, okay? So I'm just picking where my head is going to be. Obviously, it's not a perfect circle, so we already know that this is going to change. I'm also going to do my torso. So starting with my back, I'm going to go into my head. Remember, there's always overlaps. So his head is actually overlapping a tiny, 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 tiny bit of his torso. Okay. And if you guys like any cartoon, you know, any type of cartoon, you could always try to give it a very realistic illustration, okay? It's not that hard. It's actually quite simple. So that would be the body here, all right? And finally, I'm gonna do a guitar. Once you guys learn the basic, the sky's the limit. You know that saying? It really is, by the way. All right. So a lot of the guitar is behind him, and then I'm going to do the neck of the guitar. So this kind of neck balances the picture out. I'm not going to be able to do the guitar, it's the whole thing, because it actually does not fit in the picture, but I will be able to start just a tiny piece of my neck, my head. Sorry, this is the neck, that's the head. All right, and that's it, okay? That's my beginning drawing. My beginning drawing is composing. If your composition is not good, I would recommend you start again. Don't go and say like, oh, I hate my composition, it's horrible. but whatever, I'll just work with what I have. It's like, no, 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 no. This is the time that if you guys don't like something, it's the not whatever part. It's the I could change it part and not you know, do a big change. Later on when you're painting, that's going to be a more difficult change. So right now there shouldn't be any whatevers. Okay. And that's it. I think I'm happy with my beginning of my drawing. I'll let you guys try to compose it in the next 3 minutes, just so you guys kind of free draw for a little bit. Let's say 6:40. I'll let you guys free draw. And just try to get to this spot. If you guys are done with this and you guys want to go a little bit more, you guys could do a tiny bit more. I'm just going to break this into thirds. 1, 2. So that makes us 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do a little diagonal line. And I'm going to do a little diagonal line here. Okay. If you guys have time, just go ahead and do that. So I'm trying to figure out the movement of the head. All right. I'll give you guys like 5 minutes just to kind of do anything that needs to be composed, change things around a little bit. And I'm here too. So if you guys have any questions, don't just stay quiet. Make sure you guys let me know. Okay, if you guys have any questions. All right. Go ahead, have fun, and draw for a few minutes. All right, so here we go. So what I'm going to do at this point is just draw. Okay, it's just render the drawing. I'll also post this up as I'm speaking, but this is just you know, you guys could watch this part first. Once you guys see this, then it's easier for you guys to understand where we have to work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all these grids. So I'm going to do all these lines of reference that are kind of important, you know, not super important yet, but they'll be really important in a second, okay? So what I'm going to do with these lines of reference is I'm trying to use this as where things are going. I'm also going to square the face. So going back to the question, does it have to be a perfect circle? No, because we're going to square it in a second, but it is definitely a good start, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to square down the face a little bit. So instead of having this line, I'm going to have more of a 1. So it's a little square. 2. And a tiny chin. He does have a little point for his chin. But this is super, super basic, okay? He's still a cartoon, so he does have these square shapes. If I were to erase some of the lines here, I could actually see them. But if I were to erase some of these lines, you might be able to see them better. See how his face looks just a tad bit square? So I'm going to try to square this off a little bit. I'm also going to try to figure out the proportions of the picture. So the eyes start on this bottom third that I discussed. 1, 2, 3, and I'm giving more space for the hair here. So what I'm going to do for the eyes is what I always tell you for the eyes. Make very, very little detail for them at the beginning. Try to mostly work with the eye socket itself. So I'm mostly working my eye sockets here. Sorry, my sockets here. My ear is a very simple shape.
Jose, can you make it a little darker?
Sure. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So I'm trying to keep this just very illustrative at this point. So if the nose is really complicated, my nose is not, okay? I'm trying to keep my nose simple. All right, his smile, pretty simple. It's just a straight line. That's actually how we do real smiles. Follow with little corners that have a little up. Straight line, little corners that have a little up. Okay, that's it. All right. Now, one of the things that makes this an animation and an illustration is the size of the eyes, okay? That actually makes it a lot of an animation. So I'm gonna make the eyes very round on the top, okay? Extremely round on the top. But I'm gonna make them pretty flat on the bottom. On the bottom, I'm gonna do a little straight, followed by a little up, okay? That's it. On the other side, same thing. Most of the shape of the eye is gonna happen on the top of the eye, and very little shape is gonna happen on the bottom. Okay, just like that. Make sure the eyes are symmetrical. Right now, when I move my hand, I could see that my eyes are not symmetrical. So I'm just gonna make this one a little bigger. I actually want them to be a little bigger, all right? And try to match up that symmetry, okay? There we go. Pretty simple, you know, just big shapes. Now, we're gonna make that little fun kind of kid looking haircut. Again, big shapes though, no detail. 1, 2. And then I'm gonna do the diagonal line. Take your time here, don't worry. I'm gonna take a little break in a second, and I'm gonna blow up the image, that way you guys could see it. And I'll also add it to the classroom. All right, so his face is generally tilted, so you actually get to see a lot of hair on the right side of his head. And remember, the circle is here, but is he bald or is he not bald? He's not bald. So that means that the hair needs to have some relief. So the hair, if you look at the original circle, that hair is not perfectly aligned to that circle. It actually, the hairline would have to go bigger than that circle. Because if you guys don't make the hair bigger, he's gonna seem like he has a super, super tiny head. And we wanna make sure that we don't make a super, super tiny head. So this is my original circle. That's the new hairline, all right? A big, big, big change. And he has big ears like mine, kind of sticking out. My ears stick out like that too, so I could relate. Lobey ears, and that's it. Super, super simple shape. So take a look at my screenshot here. I'm also gonna put this on Google Classroom right now as we speak, but take a look over there. Give me 1 second, and I'm gonna throw it onto the screenshot, okay? Sorry, the Google Classroom.
Can I see your drawing?
Yeah, just give me 1 quick second. I'm just putting up the image, and we'll go in a second, okay? Stop drawing on the screen, come on, guys. Give me 1 quick second. So it's already on the Google Classroom, you guys. So if you guys want to have both pictures there, you guys could look at both. And I'm gonna stop this share, okay? There we go.
Jose, is this okay for now?
Yeah, it looks like he's gonna be missing a little head on the top because his line of sight looks very real. Usually like a real person's line of sight is really close to the middle. So he's missing a little head on the top.
Okay.
Right?
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Real people have like their eyes in the middle. Kind of animes have their eyes like a third of the way down. I did a chibi class like a month ago almost, and I talked about that, how the head is actually, the face is actually lower on a chibi, which is anime.
Yeah, I watched that.
Yeah,
So did
it's the
I.
same technique. Yeah. Did you guys end up drawing a bunch of chibis?
Wait, can you make like an anime drawing or a Naruto drawing?
Yeah, just let me know. I know most of you guys watch Naruto. My Sunday class, my 11:30 class on Sunday in the morning, they're actually a bunch into that Naruto, and I gave them like a class of how to draw both the mechanics of the characters as well as the actual characters themselves.
I've actually drawn Naruto. I've drawn like a lot.
All right, just don't forget when you draw Naruto, just use those rules of animation. Don't make the eyes in the middle. Make a bigger head. Keep it simple. Don't do it super complicated. You know, that's all these rules for animation.
I actually copy like from like a picture and then I copy it.
Yeah, but you see how this guy's gonna look real? The Coco character, he's actually gonna look real. But did we start by making all the detail, or did we start by making structure?
Structure.
We started with structure. That's exactly how you want to start your Naruto. Even if you don't want to do like this structure, the structure helps you organize a drawing and keep it pretty good. So most animators go into animation figure drawing or animation sketching, and they'll do this very fast. That circle and that information, they'll do it very fast, and then they'll just start adding the body because they're used to drawing them anyways, extremely quick. But the most important thing is to know that you want to start still with this bone structure, not with all that detail. Okay? All right, you guys. So I'm going to give you guys like 2 or 3 more minutes. Just let me let you guys catch up, and then I'm really going to finish up the picture. Okay, I'm going to start drawing darker, and I'm going to start drawing all the heavy detail before we start separating our lights and our darks. Okay, so I'll give you guys like 2-3 minutes of drawing, and if you guys are pretty close, then just hang on tight, and then we'll start in a second.
Jose, is the like eyes and nose and mouth pretty good, and the basically just the face?
Yeah, so I would actually make the eyes bigger, but if you're gonna make them bigger on the lower side. Don't make the loop on the top of the eye bigger. Actually make the eye. So right now, let's say your eyes look like this. Look on the top of my paper over here. So right now, let's say your eyes look like this, a little small, good but small. So they're kind of like up here. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to make them bigger, push them down. Don't push them up because then the line of sight gets high. Push it down and just make it a little larger, somewhere around there. Okay, I like the eyes. I just think they're a little small.
Okay, thanks.
Are you guys feeling more comfortable with acrylic or so-so? Drew, do you have your drawing? I can't hear you. I don't know why.
Oh, I just found a
there you go.
Naruto drawing. I just found a Naruto drawing right here.
All right, you guys, here we go. Again, you guys might want to look at the actual picture, okay? You guys might want to look at the real Coco image in a sec. But I'm just
Jose,
gonna go. Yeah.
does this look good? Wait, let me change my back so you can see.
Let's see. Put it up. I only see sharks and tigers and tigers.
Does this look good?
Can you get it just a bit closer? Yeah, that actually looks pretty good. Again, you're missing some head though. Your hairline is too low up here. You should lift that up just a tiny bit, okay?
Okay.
Look at the difference between my original circle and my new hairline. There's a big difference. That's he has a big head. All right. But the picture itself, the portrait itself looks pretty good.
Thanks.
All right, you guys. So pay attention. You guys could take your time in a second. You guys don't have to rush this. We're gonna do all the characteristics. I'm gonna make them quite dark. I'm also gonna erase some of the lines I don't need, like this one. I wouldn't erase them if this was my actual picture, but just for you guys not to get confused through the web or through the recording here, I'm just gonna erase some of these lines. It makes it more legible for you guys to actually see. Okay. All right, here we go. And if you guys don't like some things, you guys could change those things. The grid, I don't think I need it too much anymore, so I'm gonna soften the grid away. I always like to keep my grids though. It helps me put things in perspective, put things in the right place, all right? So here I go. So what I'm gonna do now is just focus on characteristics. Don't forget, I'm not making my whole drawing dark. I'm just making a few lines dark. Remember what we discussed about contour lines, okay? All right. Looks pretty good. And this is only on the drawing. Just like we've been doing on all the other pictures, we are gonna map our shadows. And if you guys wanna paint, for example, you, Drew, that's doing Naruto, if you wanna paint them this way and make them look like it's actually like a three-dimensional real character, you could definitely do that, okay? Remember, that's the foundation to illustration and animation. And that's contemporary animation, the more realistic looking one. All right, so I'm cool with the hair. I'm happy with it. He also has that kind of whimsical, fun eyebrow, and it's at an angle. That's what I did, that first line kind of at an angle. All right. Also, when I'm drawing him, he has an eyelid. He's not just like a flat circle eye. So I'm going to do a little round shape here. And I'm going to do another little round shape up here. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of a tear duct. His eyes are huge. Actually, a big chunk of his eyes are not even visible on the actual eye itself. It goes below his eyelid, okay? And that's natural, by the way. If you guys look at yourself in the mirror, you can see the top and the bottom part of your eye, of your iris and retina, because it's behind your eyelid. He has a little bit of a bag below his eye, I think maybe due to the smile. Or maybe, you know, when they decided to make a character, animators actually used real people. Maybe the kid they were drawing had a little bag on his eye, and you know, it looked pretty cool, looked pretty real, pretty interesting. So then the cartoon illustrators decided to give the kid a little bit of that bag on his eye, okay? His nose is fine. It looks to me just to be a little too simple right now. So I'm gonna make it a little more complex. It's gonna add a circle down here for my nostril. Gonna add a circle over here for my other nostril. All right. All right, looks pretty good. I think the right eye is too far away. So the only thing I'm gonna do is, instead of starting it where it is already, I'm gonna start it a little to the left, very tiny bit. I'm critical with my drawings because I draw a lot. So as I draw, I could pinpoint what is wrong, and I could always adjust it. Okay. Sometimes it's good to step away. Sometimes I like to, you know, whenever I'm drawing, I like to go inside or to a different room and just, you know, take a little short break and then come back and take a look at what's wrong with my drawing. That's perfectly fine. So if you guys are done fairly quick and you're just hanging on for the rest of the students to catch up, go take a little mini break and then come back and then see if anything was truly wrong. All right.
Jose, is this a little bit better? Do my eyes need to be like moved a little?
Push it up a little bit, push the drawing a little high. That looks pretty good, yeah. You might want to do a little grid line though, because the symmetry of the eyes, like one eye, the left eye looks to be going up on the bottom side and the other one looks to be straight. So if you just do a little grid line like here, it'll help you see which one's going up and which is going straight. But it actually looks really good. I mean, there's not much to be done to it.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I want to make sure that I make the two big teeth, and his teeth are actually a little buck, and that's okay. Kids usually have a big space in between teeth. Actually, it looks like he's missing a tooth too. And for the teeth, just remember, don't do too much detail, okay? Try to keep the teeth a little simple. So one thing I found out is his face is a little too small. So I'm gonna try to make it bigger now. Just push it down a little bit, okay? And see, they did something really cool with the boy here. They actually did a dimple, but funny enough, they only did a dimple on the right side, which is very natural. You know, when people have dimples, sometimes they have them on both sides. I have a dimple only on one side. So my older brother has two dimples. So like, that's really cool that he doesn't have a dimple on the left side, but he does have a dimple on the right side. So it's one of those things that make him almost, you know, you're familiar, like, oh, that's just like me. Like he only has a dimple. All right. Once I get to this point, you guys, this is you guys trying to just finish up and continue to render your piece. Like I feel his hair is too small, so I'm gonna make it just a tiny bit bigger. His ear is too small too, so I'm gonna make it a tiny bit bigger. All right. His left ear is too small too. It should be like somewhere up here. So I'm doing all these corrections. Now it's the time. Better now than later. Okay. Looks pretty good. Has the big characteristics. Now I'm gonna do his collarbone area here. You guys are lucky because he has a big strap covering a lot of his, like a lot of the boy. That's pretty cool. Then he has his white shirt over here, the kind of muscle shirt over here. All right. Make sure the arm doesn't start where the muscle shirt ends. It has to start a little lower, because if you guys start at the same place, it means that there's no volume to it. So you guys have to start it a little lower. All right. Be careful with the perspective of the guitar. That's really important. The guitar has some pretty fun and complicated perspective, so be careful with that. All righty, guys. And I'm pretty happy with my character, okay? I did all the things that I had to do. I did the head, which is down over here. I did the guitar, which I wanted to kind of give us a characteristic. And I did as much as the body that you guys are gonna see. If you guys get to see a little bit more on yours, do a little bit more. If that's all that you actually get to see, then that's where we're gonna pause before we move on to the blocking of lights and darks, okay?
Jose, is this pretty good?
Yeah, it's pretty good. So again, just lower it down a little bit because I want to see the bottom face. So see how the mouth is too crooked. So if you look at the shape of the mouth, it should be aligned to the line of the nose, of the eyes, and of the mouth. So the only thing you have to do to the mouth is do like a little straight line followed by two little corners that go up. I think there's too much angle to that bottom part of the mouth. And it's slightly too low. Where you have your actual bottom line there, like where you actually have your bottom line, your top line, that would be where you have that line over there. If you hold your picture steady, I think I could actually draw it for you because I have my pen over here, my iPad pen. Let me just see if I could edit this here. All right, it's easier on my computer. All right, so it's hard for me to show you, but you have a really nice grid line here, but you're doing your mouth down here. I would actually push your mouth higher to where you have that diagonal line. Okay? That's a big thing. Later on, if you want to email me your image, I could also correct it on my tablet too. Okay? But this line to me is too low. It should be where you made that initial line. That's where that line should be. Okay?
Jose, is this good? Like,
yeah, again, the head's a little too small, the top part of the head. And the top part of the head is too small because your eyes are too high. So right now your eyes are like somewhere up here, okay? Look at my picture. They're like somewhere up here. I would actually try to bring them lower, okay? Look how close they are to my base of my nose. They're fairly close. So if I were you, I try to bring my eyes a little lower. They're just too high. And that'll give you more space for the head. So you don't even have to make the head much different. You just have to push the eyes lower, and that'll give you extra space for the head. But it's pretty good. I just think it's just a tiny bit too, just a tiny bit too high. I like the size even. I like how big they are. I just think they're too way up there. So bring the eyes from here to down over here. All right, guys, I'll let you finish up your drawing. And I'll give you like 5 minutes. We'll say 7-10. Show me your drawings along the way if you guys need any help. But I'm gonna go ahead and be here, just kind of waiting for you guys to from there, okay? And I think that's gonna be the end of today after we block, all right? So just like after every class, after we're done with the drawing, we wanna make sure that we figure out our light and our dark, okay? Super important. So in this case, light is coming from the top right-hand corner. In a very fun way, here we have a little semicircle that goes somewhere here and a little semicircle that goes somewhere here, okay? I'm also gonna push my hair to know where to break this. So you guys cannot see this, what I'm doing very well, but there's no need to see it right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just make little zigzags from here, from here, from here, from there. But see, always, 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 that line is pretty symmetrical. Okay, that's another hair over here. So it kind of emphasizes the roundness in his head. And it's uneven because its hair doesn't have to be perfect, but it does want to be along this semicircular strip right there. Okay, that's not going to be too hard. It's actually quite simple. Now we got to talk about the face. Okay, so the face, obviously the light is coming from the right hand side. The left hand side is going to be the shadow. So the head will have the shadow kind of going along this left edge here. And it's going to go up a little bit. And it's going to come back in here. And then it's going to go around. Okay. But what happens here? That's an important question. Okay. What happens there is quite interesting. So now the nose casts a shadow onto the cheekbone, into the cheek itself. So right here, the nose actually casts a shadow right there. So now this whole area becomes a little light, not too light. The bridge of the nose right here is actually aligned. Now the nose casts the shadow on the upper part of the lip, all right? And then the lip itself casts a shadow on the chin. Very simple here, all right? And once we have those, I'm gonna hatch because I want you guys to see this. So again, just like always, I'm gonna hatch the inside of my eye socket because that's pretty dark. I'm gonna keep my hatching pretty light, okay? Remember, we're gonna paint this at the end. There's no need to make it super dark, all right? I'm gonna hatch the left side. That's semicircle. Just don't forget to always look for two shadows, the cast shadow and the core shadow. This that I'm doing right now is the cast shadow of the nose, this one here, but this is the core shadow of the face. All right, I'm gonna blacken up the eye. Just very basic. I actually found out that my eye was too low. All right. So on the right side, I actually don't have to darken anything on the right side, but the eye itself. All right. If you guys wanted to hatch the hair in, that's perfectly fine with me. So I'm gonna hatch the left ear. He has really dark hair, so I'm gonna hatch most of the hair, excluding those areas that we just discussed. This is just for me to understand where my lights and my darks are gonna be. Okay, so now he has some volume that we could follow for painting, okay? That's important because we need to understand volume also for our painting process, okay? So here, half of his neck is a core shadow over here, all right? But most of his body, excluding his collarbone right here, that little circle here, on the left side will actually be dark. And right now I don't have to make one darker or one lighter. More importantly, I'm trying to identify where they are, not how dark and how light they should be. Okay, that looks pretty good. And finally, on the guitar, we have to do the side opposite of light. So also, yes, it's kind of like little armpit there and kind of like arm here. You could darken that up a little bit. Okay. But I'm gonna darken this inside part of my guitar here. right. And finally, I'm going to darken up this part of the neck of my guitar. And I'm actually quite happy with the way he turned out. I'm going to erase all the stuff I don't need. Sorry. And we have our little drawing for our painting next time, okay? Pretty fun, you guys. Not hard. If I wanted to work hard, this project, I sometimes use a person, like an actual person, but because you guys are at home, it's really hard for me to help you from like the long distance for like small changes. So we went into this animation instead. But again, it has the same difficulty as a real person, just in a not so accurate way. But in a funny way, I actually like the way you guys are drawing very accurately. Like I like the way you guys are doing the eyes towards the center. That's really cool. You guys have some flexibility in terms of the drawing because he is at the end. Just a very fun illustration of an animation. All right, you guys, and I think that's going to be pretty good. We don't have enough time to paint, you guys. This is kind of towards that like the tail end of the class. I would prefer that you guys spend as much time drawing, changing the contour of your drawing. Also, take your time. I drew this pretty fast, but you guys don't have to draw it in the 45 minutes that I drew it on. You guys could still take some time after class. Once the video is uploaded, you guys could still see the uploaded video and just spend a little bit of time. If you guys, like I said, need to take a breather, just leave your painting, go, you know, hang out, doing something different, and then come back. And sometimes that way, you could better see what's off with your picture. Also, if you guys have not finished the cat, go ahead and look at the cat video. There's going to be a lot of fun texture and information that you guys are going to be able to get from that cat video. Just go ahead and take a look at that. But have fun, okay? If you guys want, you guys are more than welcome to email me your photos. Some of you guys that email me the photos, if you guys need some corrections, I'll always do that with, I could do that very easily with my tablet. Just be careful because I got a photo from one of my students who actually had a great job, but they took a very bad photo. So look at this guy. If I take a photo of like this of this guy, I'm gonna tell him like, whoa, he doesn't have any chin, or like a photo looks like all weird and warped like that. I'm gonna say like, whoa, his forehead is way too small. It's like, I think my forehead is bigger. So just make sure that you guys take a good photo, like with a picture really flat. That way I could see the actual proportions. But if you guys actually have a good photo, but you guys take it like this, then I'm gonna tell you like, well, I think the head is too squished. It's like, oh, that's the photo. And it's very hard for me to fix it, all right? Just make sure you guys take a good quality picture. Or not a good quality or high quality picture, just keep it square.
Jose, is this fine?